What's going on, Raw Deal World? This is Hog Trail, aka The Goat. Episode 4 of Get Good. Last time we did Team Angle. I did play a game with them, and I was lucky enough, aka unlucky enough, to play against a Norman Smiley. For those who aren't familiar, Norman Smiley basically doesn't discard for the chain trait, and my Team Angle is chain. So you would think it wouldn't have worked out. However, it worked out very well. I was able to keep hand size down with my superstar ability. I ended the game with no ringside pile. So I would say that Team Angle is pretty solid, considering the only game I played as them was against the deck that probably hurts them the most. So Team Angle is very good. Anyway, this week, let's see who we get. Kevin Nash, big sexy. All right, I think this will be a good one. Okay, here we go. I've loaded up my heel shell. Kevin Nash is an NWO superstar, and most of the time you're going to want them to be heel because they deal with run-ins, and some of the good heel reversals are run-ins. So I've loaded up my heel shell, which we went over in the Arn Anderson video, I believe. So let's look up Kevin Nash. Kevin Nash is a 5 superstar value, 7 hand size, superstar ability. He's also an NWO superstar. When you successfully play a maneuver that is 10 damage or greater, or superstar specific, and damage is applied, search your arsenal and ringside for Egomaniacal, reveal it, put it into your ring, and shuffle. During your opponent's turn, he can either discard 3 cards or put 1 D2 or greater card from his ring into his ringside, and then you put Egomaniacal from your ring into your ringside. You can pack Hall and Nash Arsenal cards, except Hall's Fallaway Slam and Super Belly to Back, 2 Sweet, and No Sell Maneuver. Your superstar specific cards are NWO instead. You cannot pack High Risks or Revolution cards. All right. So that's a lot of words. So just to make it easier for you, when Kevin Nash successfully plays a maneuver that is 10 damage or greater or superstar specific, if that maneuver is successful, that will trigger his ability. Even if your opponent sustains the maneuver lower than 10 damage, the trigger has already occurred. So then after you apply damage from your maneuver, even if it's reversed on 1, you get to search your arsenal and ringside for Egomaniacal and put it into your ring. So before we go any further, let's look up Egomaniacal. Egomaniacal is a 20 Fortitude action. This card is -10 Fortitude when played after Ego Boost. When this card is in your ring area, your opponent's overturned cards are removed from the game instead of going into his ringside pile. That is a stupid strong effect. You know, it can be difficult to hit 10 damage or greater maneuvers in this game, but it's not impossible. Kevin Nash, if he does, your opponent's going to be in for a really bad time. Yes, he can get rid of Egomaniacal, like that's not impossible to do, but it's still going to hurt. So we will, I'll just count that as a superstar specific, and we might want to include more than 1 in case we hit maybe 2 10 damage or greater maneuvers before opponent can do it, because then he has to get rid of 2 Egomaniacals. For now, I'll leave 1 in there, but we'll go back. Nash's Backstage Power, NWO Backstage Area. Your Backstage Politics is now an event, and when that card is in your ring, your superstar specific maneuvers are -5 Fortitude and cannot be reversed from Backlash, and your Jackknife cannot be reversed from hand. When your opponent moves Backstage Politics from your ring, you may put lethal NWO Poison from your ringside into your ring. Good card is good. Let's look up Backstage Politics. Backstage Politics is a feud, but with Kevin Nash, it's an event. Put that over here. Your opponent's hand size is -1. When this card is in your ring during your opponent's turn, you can put 1 non-unique card from his ring into his ringside, and then he puts Backstage Politics into his ring. And if your opponent is right to censor, then this text, as of Virtual 12, this next paragraph isn't really relevant. But at the very least, it's -1 hand size, and Backstage Politics also lets you play a few decent cards because when it's in your ring, it gives you some good effects. So we will keep that in the back of our minds. Big Sexy. Cannot be blanked. Your maneuvers are +2 damage. Ignore the can only be played text on your cards with NWO in the title. And as an ace, once during each of your turns, you can reveal your hand and remove 2 cards in your hand from the game, and then search your arsenal or ringside for 1 non-unique maneuver. Reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle. When this effect is reversed, your turn does not end. Good card, lets you search for move. It turns you into kind of a more painful cost for a Rikishi-like effect. Remove 2 cards in your hand from the game and then search for a non-unique maneuver. You also get to search your ringside, which is nice. So good card. And if it's reversed, your turn doesn't end, so that's even better. Big Elbow Smash is a maneuver. You can search for it as if it's non-unique. That's pretty cool. It's a multi-strike. And when played after a successfully played maneuver, cannot be reversed from hand by non-unique reversals. When you're Kevin Nash and you have at least 10 lower fortitude, it can only be reversed from arsenal. So remember, Nash's backstage power makes your superstar specifics -5 when Backstage Politics is in your ring. So that means the Big Elbow Smash is 1 fortitude. And if you're losing by a lot, it's basically guaranteed. So that's going to go in. And it's specific. So if it hits, no matter what its damage is, it's going to trigger your ability. Big Snake Eyes is a 6 fortitude grapple multi, 8 damage. Can only be played after a successfully played maneuver or the counter and cannot be reversed from backlash or ring. And you draw 2. Solid card. It's not amazing, but it's good enough to pack, I think. We'll see how the rest of the deck unfolds, but solid card. Big Boot Choke, a strike submission multi, 12 fortitude, 10 damage. When played after a successfully played maneuver or the counter, your opponent must remove 1 card in his hand from the game to reverse this card from hand or backlash. And then you shuffle cards from your ringside into your arsenal up to the total number of cards removed from the game, up to 10. That's good because your opponent is probably going to have a lot of cards removed. So this card could have some seriously good recovery to it. Sorry, my cat is meowing in the background. I apologize. Leader in the Wolfpack. Pre-match event. It is a NWO pre-match event, which will be relevant later. Cannot be blanked, can be played from ringside, and your opponent cannot prevent you from playing this card. And when this card is activated by the Wolfpack, you cannot reverse the effect. Now, we're not the Wolfpack, we are Kevin Nash. During any turn, when you would reveal your hand, or when Egomaniacal is moved from your ring, you can put 1 card from your hand under this card, and cards under this card can be played as if from hand. Once during each of your turns, and this is an ace, once during each of your turns, you can reveal your hand, and then when it does not contain any maneuvers with fortitude equal or less than your fortitude, your next card can be a maneuver from your ringside as if from hand. When you are NWO Wolfpack, you may instead play a maneuver from your backstage. So this card does a number of things, and they're all good. Whenever you would reveal your hand, you can hide a card under it, so that's a card your opponent doesn't get to see, including when you use its ace or when you use Big Sexy's ace. So even if you have a maneuver you can play in your hand, you can hide it and then do the ace. Then it lets you basically gives you the ability to spam ringside maneuvers, which is awesome. So yeah, that card's definitely awesome. Magic Mike. It is a action movie. It's 18 Fortitude. When you reveal your hand, you may put this card from your hand into your ring. So I'll stop right there for a second. That happens no matter what your Fortitude is. It even happens during the pre-match phase. If you have, a card that reveals your hand at the end of the pre-match, and if Magic Mike is in your hand, it goes right into your ring. Remove one less card from the game when you activate Big Sexy. That's a card that you remove 2 cards from your hand and then search for a maneuver. Once during each of your turns, you may remove 1 card in your ring from the game and then put up to 3 non-reversal cards from your ring side on the bottom of your arsenal. When the card removed is D2 or greater, shuffle up to 4 cards from your ring side into your arsenal instead. This card is nutty. Its ace is really good. It can be reversed, however, but Kevin Nash has a bunch of aces anyway, so your opponent might have eaten through all of his. Don't try this at home. This card lets you live forever. If you have some kind of engine that lets you bring back RFG cards, you'll be pretty okay when you're Kevin Nash. So Magic Mike will absolutely be making the deck. Now remember, he gets to pack also Hall and Nash Arsenal cards and 2 Sweet and No Sell Maneuver. So let's look up all and. There's 2 Sweet. At the end of the pre-match phase, look at your starting hand and then search your arsenal for 2 different non-unique grapple maneuvers and put them in your hand. That's not bad. No reason not to pack it. And it's NWO, which means it's free. And I'll tell you why in a couple of minutes. Jackknife, trademark finisher, cannot be reversed by when you thought you had all the answers, which isn't a super popular card now. It was back then. I still pack it in bash decks, but it cannot be reversed from Backlash in general when Backstage Politics is in your ring, and it also cannot be reversed from hand. So yeah, it's really good. Jackknife. NWO Black and White, 2 Fortitude action. Put up to 1 action and up to 1 reversal from your ringside into your hand. Sounds good to me. For life, shuffle up to 3 cards from your ringside into your arsenal and then draw up to 3. Recovery and draw, both very good. Hall Swallow Slam, he doesn't get that. That's a backlash card, backlash card. That's a mid-match. Don't turn your back on the Wolfpack. When you have more maneuver cards in your ring than your opponent, reverse any non-unique maneuver. When you have less, reverse any maneuver instead. When you have the same amount, reverse any non-maneuver. Solid reversal. 15 Fortitude is kind of high, but if you're Kevin Nash, you're going to be throwing big moves all game, so it's fine. Big Sexy's Big Boot. When packed by Hall and Nash or the Wolfpack, this card is NWO. Kevin Nash's own ability makes it NWO as well. As a maneuver, when you are Diesel, this card's -12. And when you have lower Fortitude, this can only be reversed from Arsenal. And when your opponent has a Revolution card, blah, blah, blah. So that paragraph really only applies to Diesel. However, as a reversal, reverse any non-superstar specific non-maneuver card. That's a good reversal. It reverses cards like Here Comes the Cavalry or, any action that isn't specific, basically. Diesel powered Sidewalk Slam. When packed by Hall and Nash or the Wolfpack is NWO, blah, blah, blah. As a maneuver, when played after a successfully played maneuver, it can only be reversed by superstar specific reversals. That's a really good restriction. As a reversal, reverse any card that cannot be reversed, can only be reversed by a specific card or card type or has momentum. It's a 20 Fortitude grapple that does 8 damage. It reverses moves with reversal restrictions. That works for me. Super Belly Back, he doesn't get that. Doesn't get that. He cannot pack that. All right, so that's it. So believe that's all the specifics that he gets. Yes, it is. Anyone that can pack no sell, I typically run the counter reversal package with. So that is counter hold, counter assault, counter throw. They each reverse 2 different maneuver types. When overturned, they count as 2 reversals, and you can put them into your ring. They're really good. I generally prefer Revo of the Mind, unless my superstar can pack no sell. And no sell is a really, really good card. When played from your hand, reverse any maneuver and discard 2. Yes, please give me 3 of those. We're at 44 cards, so we are past the limit that I generally like to be at. So we might have to cut. I'm going to cut hold the phone. I know. I'm sorry. And again, we have a bunch of maneuvers already, so we don't need to load our arsenal with maneuvers, but there are probably a few actions we're going to want. All right, so now we have to figure out what our maneuver base is going to be. So I think there's a couple different ways to go with Kevin Nash. First of all, he's looking for big moves. So, you know, you're probably going to stay away from maneuvers with restriction modification symbols because they're generally not too high in damage. There's a couple, like we'll probably throw in a precision haymaker because it's just a really good card. But, you know, and a lot of cheese moves aren't high in damage. He does make maneuvers +2 damage. So that makes German suplex a really good pack for him because it's hard to reverse and it'll do 10 damage. So let's do format. Format contains ass, which really should have been the name of this podcast. Superstar logo equals nothing. Let's look up German. German suplex are a really good card. 4 fortitude, 8 damage grapple. When it's your first card played and you reverse a card from your hand to end your opponent's turn, this card can only be reversed from Backlash or Arsenal. Yes, please. It's one of the best maneuvers in the game. Now remember that, which one is it? Too sweet. Let's just search for 2 different non-unique grapple maneuvers. So let's look up grapple. And one card that I always like to pair with Backstage Politics is Judo Takedown. So Judo Takedown is a 0 fortitude, 4 damage maneuver. And when it's in your hand and your opponent moves any number of cards in your ring area, you can immediately put this card into your ring area. So that means when they try to move Backstage Politics from your ring and you have Judo Takedown, that's a free 4 fortitude. Also, before we get too far, let's look up NWO cards because Nash likes them a lot. We'll start with the Allegiance. So NWO has its own allegiance. Can be played regardless of Boogeyman's ability. Your run-in cards are -3 fortitude. Your non-maneuver NWO actions can only be reversed by unique reversals. Your NWO specific pre-match cards do not take up a slot in your ring. And your NWO superstar specific maneuvers ignore. They can only be played after text. The rest of the card isn't really relevant to us. So let's think about that. Nash already makes his superstar cards NWO. So that means that you ignore the, well, so For Life can only be reversed by unique reversals. Black and White can only be reversed by unique reversals. Magic Mike can only be reversed by unique reversals. And you can ignore the can only be played text on Big Snake Eyes. So yeah, the Allegiance is really good. And it makes these 3 cards right here free. So they don't take up a slot. Plus plus itself. So yeah, it's good. Let's go back up here. Lethal NWO Poison. This is a classic card. I think it's the only non-specific NWO card from Classic. It can only be played if you have a card in your ring or your superstar card has the NWO logo, which we do. Before you draw a segment, your opponent removes 2 cards in his ringside from the game. If you end your turn without attempting to play a maneuver card, you must put this card from your ringside. You put this card into your ringside. And if your opponent removes this card from ring area, he must discard 3. This card's amazing. It really prevents your opponent from being able to sponge a lot because he'll as long as you're throwing moves, he'll be constantly removing his ringside cards. So we will add that. So there's a couple of different NWO maneuver action multi-cards. They're not very good. So I don't think they're worth it. NWO Comes to Ringside is a surprisingly decent card. But considering we have a tight arsenal already, I don't think it's going to make it in. The t-shirt is a pre-match object that never sees play anymore. NWO Reinforcements. This is a really good mid-match card. Can only be played when you have an NWO card in your ring or your backstage. And when you are X-Pac or Hall and Nash, this card is -5 Fortitude. And it reverses any non-unique maneuver and draw 2. That's great. That's amazing. And it's a run-in, so it's -3 Fortitude. And then Survey Time is the other relevant card. Requirement, Allegiance NWO. And it cannot be blanked. At the end of the pre-match phase, draw 1 card, put 1 card from your ringside on the bottom of your arsenal. Your opponent discards 1 and overturns 1. And again, it takes up a free slot, so it's free. It's another card out of your opponent's hand, and it's 1 more card in your hand, so that's great. All right, so let's go back to the maneuver base. We already have our German suplex. We already have a judo takedown. So we really haven't decided if there's going to be a specific avenue that we're going to attack. So what I like to do sometimes is card text be reversed, because that includes something like Claw, which cannot be reversed. It also includes cards like Clutch Onto Opponent, which can only be reversed. So it really pulls up a lot of good cards. And I'm going to sort by damage, because remember, we're looking for high damage cards. First, we'll start with the double digits, which are after the zeros. So 10. Do any of these do anything for us? Not really. We can't pack high risk. We don't want to set stuff up. I'm not impressed by really anything I'm seeing. Can't back a high risk. All right, so let's go back. We'll start with the 9s, because remember, we make moves +2 damage. Shoot Forearm is good. And it does have it has a reversal restriction. It's a pretty good one. And it lets you have shoot counter that's in your ring. So for now, I'm going to add a couple shoot forearms. Shoot double arm lock is less good. If it were cheaper, it'd be great, but it's not. So we're going to skip it. Cut Buster on the top rope. We've covered that in the Arn deck. It's good for Arn. It's not so great for Big Sexy. We already have German. Toe hold. Not for everyone. It's decent, but not for everyone. Shoot lockup. I mean, you can spam shoot lockup, so I'm going to add 2 of them. We still leaves us with 9 cards. Yeah, none of the classic moves do anything for Nash. Well, classic Powerbomb might, but I don't think it's really worth it. Yeah, I'm not too. Yeah, but now we're at 7 damage, so I think unless something's really good, 6 damage. Yeah, so I think we're going to. Yeah, all right. So now we have to think We have 9 cards. We have shoot forearm can be played at 0, and judo takedown is a 0 fortitude move. So, and remember, Kevin Nash can spam cards. If he doesn't have a maneuver to play in his hand, he can reveal his hand and then play, let's say, shoot forearm from ringside. Let me read leader again. You can reveal your hand when it does not contain any maneuvers with fortitude equal or less than your fortitude. Your next card play can be maneuvered from your ringside as from hand. Yeah. So if we have a shoot forearm and our opponent reverses it, and we don't have a maneuver that we can play, we can reveal our hand, hide one of the cards under leader, and play shoot forearm until it hits. And remember, anytime I have a deck that has any number of shoot cards in it that go to my ring, shoot counter makes it in, because shoot counter is such a deadly reversal. Can only be played when you have a card in your ring with shoot in the title. Reverse any card that moves any number of cards from any ringside pile, or any card that allows your opponent to draw any number of cards, or any non-unique hybrid card. This card hits so many cards, including superstar specifics. So that will absolutely be going in. Let's see. Oh, we're still sorted by damage. I don't think any of these other shoot moves are worth it. Yeah, I don't think it's worth really leaning into the shoot maneuvers. Okay. So what maneuvers have high damage? Well, there's technical maneuvers can lean high damage. Volley maneuvers can lean high damage. Dynamic maneuvers can reveal high damage, but dynamic is less good than those other two. We're not a bash deck, so we're not going to do that. Chain maneuvers generally don't have high damage, so we're going to not do that. Although there are a few chain maneuvers that are higher in damage. Pendulum Backbreaker and Leaping DDT and Maneuver of Doom. But we just built a chain deck, so I don't think we're going to need to build another one anytime soon. If I can cut one card from this list, we could add Great Technical Prowess, and that'll help us. That'll help us a little bit with technical moves, because remember, technical maneuvers are fine. Technical actions are really good. So let's look up technical. He doesn't get the high risk, so that's a little bit of a disappointment. Technical slam will be 10 damage. Body lock will be 15, but it's not that good. If it were cheaper, it would be, but it's really not. Clothesline's not great. So technical powerbomb is. It's a 16 fortitude, 14 damage action and maneuver, but it's mostly an action. It has 3 stun, which is amazing. As an action, this card is -8 fortitude and -14 damage. So it's a 8 fortitude action. Shuffle this card into your arsenal and then draw one, or your opponent discards 4 cards from his backlash deck. That is huge. Making your opponent discard 4 of his backlash cards, especially considering he's probably got all 12 pre-match cards in his ring. So he's going to be discarding 4 mid-match cards. That's really big. So I think for the sake of this video, we're going to make him technical and see how it goes, because that also gives us technical lunging lariat. It's a 14 fortitude, 16 damage strike with 2 stun value. As an action, it's -8 fortitude, so it's even cheaper than technical powerbomb. Put this card on the bottom of your arsenal and then put 1 card that is not a fortitude 0 maneuver from your opponent's ring area into his ringside pile. This is the most slept on card in the game. It removes so many cards. It removes any pre-match card that isn't permanent. It removes any mid-match card that isn't permanent. Any maneuver that's not fortitude 0, that's huge, because if you're like me and your get started method is probably going to be shoot forearm, shoot forearm isn't fortitude 0. So that card's going to go bye-bye. So technical lunging lariat is amazing. Monkey flip is good. If we can fit something to make our moves plus an additional 2 damage, I might consider adding a few of them. Technical Bear Hug is definitely going to go in our deck. So this is the problem we're going to have, where we're running out of arsenal space. Technical Bear Hug as an action lets you bury itself and 2 RFG cards. And we're going to be doing a fair number of self RFG with our pre-match ace and with Magic Mike. So we're going to be putting in 3 Technical Bear Hugs. All right, so we have to cut 1 card. On the surface, it might be Candace, but however, I think Sidewalk Slam might be the way to go, because we already have Big Sexy Sidewalk Slam. So I think I'm going to cut a Sidewalk Slam. That gives us 10 cards. So I want at least 2 Bear Hugs. I want at least 2 Lariats. I want at least 2 Power Bombs. That leaves us with 4 cards. We should probably throw in some slams, honestly. 2 cards left. I would have liked to have thrown in an another Egomaniacal. I just don't think we'll have room for it. Candace is good, but I think we might have to move on from Candace. That gives us 3 cards. 2, 4, 6, 8. So we need at least 2 technicals, and I think the last 3 cards are going to be technical. So I think it's going to be 3 Hugs, 3 Lariats, and 3 Bombs. I feel like this happened too quick, and I feel like I'm forgetting something. Let's look up card text politics. Any of these worth packing? No. If we can fit Power Struggle into our mid-match, we're going to. However, we're going to have a pretty tight mid-match, so I doubt it. No, Don't Cross McMahon is also pretty good. This is the problem you run into. There's not a lot of mid-match spots. Outside interference is already in there. Redemption. Redemption's good. Redemption's really good, actually. Especially if Egomaniacal is in your ring and your moves can't be reversed from hand. Oh man. We don't really have a way to get it into our hand, but it can't be reversed, and Backstage Politics is in our ring area. This is tough. I don't want to cut any of these for it. I don't want to cut Judo. I don't want to cut a volley of this because I like to have 3. I guess I could cut an elbow. Is that worth it? Yeah, I think I'm going to. I might regret that, but for now we're going to add redemption. If I play a game and it screws me, then it's gone. How about Backstage is it's actually not bad, but it's really not worth it, so we're not going to pack it. I feel like I'm missing something, but nothing's jumping out at me. Yeah, I got all those. Got that. Oh, fun thing to do with Nash. So lethal NWO poison is not unique, so you can pack up to 3 of them. So if you somehow get one in your ringside and your opponent moves Backstage Politics, you could put a second one into your ring, which is kind of a fun trick. It's generally not worth it, but if you're just going to make like a fun, silly deck, you could give it a try. Oh, I should put technical prowess in here. While I add it, technical prowess. There. We're gonna want sound and brutal in our pre-match. All right, so where are we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't think we are a deck that needs no show. Yeah, I mean, we could get Madrid Interferes and Jive Soul Bro, but I'll leave it in for now, but if we don't have a card to swap in, then it might not be worth it. So anyway, so min-match cards, I know we're going to be screwed already. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we're at 12 now. I'm going to want to add other stuff. So Road to Victory is going to be gone. Yeah, I need all these cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we have one min-match card to work with. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we have 3 pre-match cards. All right, let's see. Card type pre. Any specific text we want to look at? Technical. I mean, we could be the cruiserweight champion, which is kind of funny. That lets you search for a technical maneuver. Oh, we didn't add precision haymaker. I'm gonna want at least one haymaker because you can spam it when you're Kevin Nash. So, whoops, not in there. Precision haymaker is gonna go in, and I'll take out. I think I'll take out 1 shoot for. Because remember, we can always go search for a maneuver. All right. Anyway, pre-match. Let's see. Card type. We have an allegiance. Do we have a feud that we want? Backstage politics is an event for us. Bitter rivals could stop opponent from playing belts. I'm a big fan of bitter rivals. So that might be the one. Second bottle doesn't do much for us. I'll put bitter rivals in for right now. That might come out. I doubt there's a stipulation that we're going to want. None of these do much for us. I think, Buried Alive match is kind of fun, but it's generally easier just to win the game. Old School Cage match, on the other hand, does that hurt us at all? It doesn't do anything. It hurts technically sound a little bit, but with technical prowess, we get around that. Do any of these? Do any of these cards get screwed over by Cage? Because if not, I'm going to add it. Yeah, Old School Cage match is absolutely good. Oh, I forgot. Poisoned. Yeah, that would mean they would only have to get rid of 1 card. So, you know what? As much as I want to, I think, yeah, I think we're gonna have to leave the Cage out. That hurts. Oh, I did think of a card to add in with. Well, let's look at a manager because there's a manager I'm gonna want. Managed by Eric Bischoff, Throwback is a WCW card. However, when you have an NWO card in your ring, your starting hand size is +2 and your opponent's hand size is -1. So yeah, we're gonna put that in. All right, doesn't count. Oh, so this card does actually count because it is RMS, so it has to take up a slot. So 1, 2, 3, doesn't count, doesn't count, doesn't count. 4, doesn't count. 5, doesn't count. 6. And then we could swap in a card for a notion. All right. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Perfect. And I think I know what card I'm going to swap in with no show. If I could spell, and that is rules were meant to be broken. Your starting hand size is -1. However, since we're going to put it in no show, we get around that text. When this card is in your ring area, You may discard one maneuver and one action to reverse any action in your opponent's turn. It's just a good card, and it's especially good when you have technical maneuvers because they are both a maneuver and an action. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I'm debating now whether I want another power struggle or whether I want. I think King Interferes is just so good. But that also means we could undermine the competition is one of the best mid-match cards in the game, but we just don't have room for it. We could get rid of Don't Cross McMahon now that we've added Rules Are Meant to Be Broken. I think that's good enough justification for me. Undermine. I wish I had room for one, maybe two more power struggles, but I mean, I guess I could cut Dirty Low Blow, even though it's basically guaranteed Fortitude. You know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to add in another power struggle. All right. So, I mean, I think this is the deck. I don't feel as confident about this deck, but I know Kevin Nash is really good. So, I guess I'll just have to play a game with it and give you the rundown afterwards because I feel like I'm forgetting something. If you can think of anything that I'm forgetting, please leave it in the comments. I'm definitely willing to listen. But I think that's it for now. I will let you know. Thank you for watching. Please like the video, subscribe, tell all your friends to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.